to New Orleans, you ought to go see the Mardi Gras. If you go to New Orleans, you ought to go see the Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Parade Route. Tonight we have the very special honor of being joined by two of the lovely ladies from the Krewe of Muses, Miss Virginia and Miss Kathy. How are you both this evening?
Well, we're great. We're eager and ready for Mardi Gras.
So tell us a little bit about the origins of the Krewe. I know that the Krewe is named after the 7 Muses, which is nine, which is the daughters of Zeus.
And
Mnemosyne. We always have a hard time with Mnemosyne. She's the mother, the goddess of memory, and the mother of the Muses. You want me to tell the Stacy story?
Yes, I wasn't actually in the inner circle.
So Stacy Rosenberg is our founder, and I always love to tell the story because Stacy actually moved down here to go to Tulane, fell in love with New Orleans, never wanted to leave, and she's an attorney, and she was watching a bunch of her friends who are attorneys parade in Druids, in one of the first Druids parades in 2000. And she was standing on St. Charles Avenue watching these guys have so much fun, and she thought, I want to do that. But she didn't really think there were any parades she would feel comfortable joining. She wanted to parade at night and have a ball, and there were no women's nighttime parades. So she called our good friend Wheezy, who had also come down here to go to Tulane, fallen in love with New Orleans and never left. And she said, if I start a parade, do you want to be in it? And Wheezy lived right off the parade route, and Wheezy was like, yeah, I want to be in it. And Wheezy entertained, and there were a bunch of people at her house right after the parade, and Wheezy said, hey, Stacy wants to start a parade. And somebody said, is it men or women? And she said, it's all women. Stacy's all women. Stacy thought, well, there's not a lot of opportunities for women. Yeah, it's all women. And so Wheezy was like, yeah, it's all women. How many? And she's like, I got 20 members for you. There we started. And she called me a few days later, and we just were off.
I like to say I think I'm the first paying member of Muses because I saw Stacy shortly thereafter, and she said, you want to join this? And I
Write
said,
me a check.
Sure. And I wrote the check. She's like, I think I was the first person. I was like,
Check.
I don't want to have to do this later, so I handed her a check.
I remember writing my check because I wrote a check for me and a check for my mother. My mother loves Mardi Gras but never wanted to ride in a parade. And I said, oh, Mom, you owe me some money because I paid your dues in Muses. She's like, I don't want to ride in a parade. And I said, too bad.
You're riding. Yeah.
You're riding. And she got off after the first ride and said, I will ride every year till I die and one more after that by last will and testament. She actually rode, she's still alive, but she rode the first 10 years. And then she said, this is a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, no, like a lot of those crews where, it's a long parade, you have massive crowds, but there's a lot of prep work for them, too. I mean, you guys must go months of prep before you...
It's all year.
It's all year for us. Well, we're officers. We work on it all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. But, I mean, your normal riders, I'm sure, are, weeks at least, if not months, before, what turns out to be, a 4-hour ride. So it is a lot of work for a crew member.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. So how many did you roll out with on that first ride?
Well, I remember that organizational meeting that I came to. I think there was a magic number, 300 something. We had to have.
We had to have 350.
We had to have 350, otherwise economically it wasn't going to work, and we weren't at that number yet. And our good friend Wheezy happened to be out of town. She didn't make that meeting. Oh no, she was at the meeting. She said, "I'll make a few calls. I'll work off my Rolodex," and. By the next week, I think we had 600 members.
We started with 610.
Yeah, Wheezy knows a few people.
But we would have these meetings set up in like the back of restaurants and stuff where we would just send out emails. I mean, it was the year 2000. I mean, people think it's crazy when I tell the younger people this, but we were all just getting emails. I was laughing about the fact that I had just gotten a Gateway computer and I had an AOL account, and it was a long time ago. And we would shoot out emails to everybody we could think of that told what Muses was, and we would say, we're having a meeting on this day, come by and hear more about it. And Stacy would get up and talk about it. And we would have people show up that were like, I have a whole float of people that want to join. And, they would say, well, we give them information of where to send the checks. and they were all due by July 4th, I think. And when Stacy and Dana opened the opened the mailbox on the day after July 4th, we had over 600. We had 600, and I like to say 609 because it sounds more romantic. We had over 600 members.
Yeah.
So we rolled with 610, I think, our first year,
Wow.
which was pretty amazing because
Yeah.
there was a gap in the market. And then pretty soon we had 800. Then pretty soon, now that we
And
have,
then it got overwhelming.
and then, we said we're going to close membership, and all of a sudden we had 600 people join in one day or 1 week. And so we have, right now we have 1,132 riding members,
Wow.
and we have a few hundred non-riding members.
Yeah, we don't like to consider ourselves a super crew.
We're
We do
not.
not want to get any bigger than that. And so,
We don't wanna be
unfortunately, we
big.
had a wait list, but the wait list became untenable because we felt guilty for letting people put their women on wait lists when it was just never going to, we were
Right.
never going to roll through that many names in our lifetimes.
Right.
Yes.
So we,
Yeah.
we did eventually, to be fair, shut down the membership. And then eventually we have worked through the wait list. But
People would call and say, "When am I going to be in?" And I was like, "Do you want me to quit or die?"
Yeah.
Because that's what has to happen.
It was similar to like when the Saints had 150,000 on a waiting list, and like the whole stadium has to die twice.
Yeah,
Like, that's never gonna happen.
it's
You know,
just
so-
about yeah. I mean,
But and I also say, in the early years, I think our membership turned over by a third every year. You joined off the internet. It was extremely democratic. You just sent in
any
your
woman
application.
over 18 could join.
You just sent in your application, your money, and you joined. It was not a selection process, and people did it and had fun, and about a third of the crew would roll over, and then Katrina hit. And people valued everything about our city then,
Yeah.
and then nobody wanted to give up their ride, and then it became a problem.
Yeah, I actually remember my mother had sold her spot that year, and she bought a spot from a friend of mine who couldn't ride after Katrina. But after Katrina, we all realized what was important,
Yeah.
and it was bead therapy. Is what we were calling it. It's the
It
way to
seems
survive
weird,
it.
but I consider that Mardi Gras one of my absolute favorites. And it was weird. Like there was very few bands around. The floats were half full, but everybody that
Our
was
floats
there
were full.
was just very, very happy to be there. So no, I'm just saying in general.
And
you
people
know.
were
I
out
too
there with
have a really
signs
great
that
memory of
said,
that.
"Thank you for being here."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember, we were like, actually that year, we knew we had to do something special that year. I mean, we had a lot of members. 80% of our membership was from Orleans Parish, and 80% of Orleans Parish had flooded.
Right.
I mean, I had 9 feet of water in my house, and I remember the first thing I did when I got to a place that had power and I could charge a phone, which was 2 days after the storm, was call. The first text I sent in my life was to Barry Kern, and it said, "How is the shoe float?" And Barry called me, and he's like, "I'm fine, thank you, Virginia." But the shoe float's fine. I was like, "Okay, glad you're okay." But we had a fun theme that year that was called Muses Got Game. And it was a game spoof.
Mm-hmm.
And we left. I had actually gotten the sketches that Friday afternoon from our artist. And I left with those sketches in my briefcase. And then we changed a lot of them to be more topical. We added new games like hurling was pushing. Was our version of curling, like pushing your refrigerator to the curb while
Right.
vomiting.
Yes.
And then we had like red. We
Was
had
that the Olympics here?
yes, it was.
Yeah.
We had not that any of us could watch the Olympics because I still didn't have power, but we had Red Rover, which were the Gretna police standing on the bridge saying "Red
Yeah.
Rover,
That
Red
was-
Rover,
that
get
was-
your asses back over." I couldn't drive
Excellent.
across the bridge for quite a few years because I think they knew what we were doing. And then we had all of our topical ones, and then we finished with a float that was
I was just going to remember that. I know that was your
Mnemosity.
idea. No, I remember we had them playing St. James Infirmary. Wasn't that the closing float at Katrina to remember?
no, it was Mnemosity. Yeah, it was.
But it wasn't it.
I don't
playing?
remember music. I don't remember.
Oh,
music.
so
we might have had a
that's-
band in front of it, but we had an empty float at the end of the parade, and it was this big beautiful woman's head, and it was Mnemosity, the mother of the Muses, goddess
Yeah.
of memory, and it said, "We mourn the past. We celebrate life. We mourn the past. We will never forget." And there were no riders on it. But it was an old float, so it still had those stanchions on it that like just had some beads swinging on it, but nobody
Yeah.
on it. And I've talked to more people, and it's ended up in a lot of books about that year. And I know people that were on the street that said they'd come in to check on their houses right then and decided to see what parades were going to happen. And that like strangers were hugging each other and sobbing on
Yeah.
the street. It was like there were 3 parades mushed together, and then that one emotional like release at the end of it. But I always say if we don't laugh, we cry, and we needed to do
Yeah.
both that night. So
Well,
that was our
that
release.
was one of those, I want to say up until 2 weeks before Mardi Gras, it was still up in the air if we were going to have any parades. But it was kind of decided, like, no, we have to do it.
We
We're
needed
doing
it.
it one way or the other. And there was enough time, there was enough resources. There wasn't going to be that many people, so it could be done,
It was so awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And like I said, when you say, hey, welcome home, or whatever, you start seeing those signs. I'm seeing riders with that. Like, thanks for being
Yeah.
here. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm here.
It was great. I remember being out in the drizzle that first weekend of parades, and they had those like the Max marching band that was all the different
Yeah.
school kids. It was so good.
So you'd mentioned when you were talking about that year's theme, y'all are synonymous with using the satire in your in your float designs.
Well, theme's my thing. I'm the theme chairman.
Okay.
I've been doing the theme since the very first year. I have a meeting every year, and I invite the entire crew to my house to have cocktails and throw out ideas. And I come up with a theme, and I give Stacy time to look at a couple of different ideas, and we throw them around, and we pick one, and then I invite all the members over, and I get like 30 people out of 1,400, and we throw out ideas and break into groups and play with ideas, and then I sort of stitch it together to make. And we have another muse, our friend Kelly. Kelly is an artist, and she does the designs. So we're like one of the only crews that conceives and designs their own floats internally.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. So
You have
theme's
several
my favorite.
iconic floats, though.
Well, we have the signature floats too.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, another muse, Susan Gisselson, who's amazing. She designed the Sirens float and the Goddessy.
Okay.
So we did and actually, yeah. So we do a lot of things internally too.
I love when y'all use the shoe for the kicker. I forget his name.
Oh.
The Saints.
Oh, it was
party.
all kickers. It was all of the special teams guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that Garrett Hartley?
Hardly. Yeah,
I think it
so.
was. Although I think Morstep was in there too.
Oh, was he?
It's not a roomy float.
Just like-
There's not a lot of room for a lot of
Well,
people.
this year it's going to be really well. It's going to be really well footed.
Doing something different to it?
No,
Yeah,
Irma
we-
Thomas.
we
will be
just
riding
thrilled
in.
that
Oh,
Irma
that's
was
right.
with us,
I
yes.
saw that today.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, y'all are well known for having a grand marshal
Honorary
or
Muse.
an honorary muse every year. You mentioned Irma Thomas is going to be there this year. I know y'all have had several well-known
that's something
folks.
I started.
remember.
Kathy
When
actually
we-
took that.
When we
created
first did it, we decided each year we'd honor somebody who, exemplified what each muse was. So the first year we picked the Muse of History,
And that was?
it was Cherise Harrison, who
Queen
is sort of a
Reese.
historian of the Mardi Gras Indians.
Yes.
And so she was our first honorary muse, and I remember Trip Sickery, who's the Muse of Dance. That was
Maria Jacobi.
Maria Jacobi. So we went through. We worked through
As many as we could.
as many as we went through all 9. We
Yeah.
did, and then I think we started to repeat.
We had to
and then we
twist
decided
some
to
of them.
tweak. So
We had to tweak. Like nobody wants to be the muse of tragedy, but we had the woman, the muse of overcoming tragedy.
and I remember Becky Allen was the Muse of Comedy.
And we
Thalia.
had Kim Rivers Roberts was the muse of overcoming tragedy.
That's right.
She made a documentary post Katrina called Trouble the Water. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
But then we decided to just sort of pick people that we honor,
Right.
But it's not
Who's
it's
been
not
your favorite?
royalty. I don't know about favorites. Our only repeat has been Patricia Clarkson,
Who I love, who's a love.
Yeah.
which was an honor for her to want to do it twice.
I chased Ruby Bridges through the Hilton Hotel after a luncheon. Weren't you?
That was fabulous.
We were at that luncheon that day we were at a women's luncheon in the Hilton, And somebody said, Ruby Bridges is here. And I'm like, where? And they were like, she just left. And I chased her through the hotel and like threw myself into the parking lot elevator. And she was looking at me like I was insane. And I was
I
like,
remember being so thrilled because I happened to
you
go
ride in the Muses
to the Berkshires shortly thereafter, and to see the Rockwell Museum, and the iconic picture of Ruby Bridges, and I had just met her, and I felt very thrilled. But
And she was amazing. What I loved about that year was that all the schools in town, like I took that year off. That was actually a really fluke. That was the 1 year I didn't ride. And on the street, people were chanting Ruby. Like all the kids on the street were chanting Ruby. And apparently the schools in town all read the Ruby Bridges story that week so that they would know who she was. And that to me was so special because like we were a part of this whole, it became a whole community thing to have Ruby there, and I loved it.
yeah, as I said, we don't have royalty. We don't have a marshal. We don't ask these people to perform. It's an honor for
Right.
We tried to make it an honor for them.
Well, I love Miss Army. I feel like I run into her at least once a year, and every
She's
time I'm like, "Oh, hey,
amazing.
Miss Army," she's like, "Oh, hey, baby." I mean, that's her response. She's a typical, quintessential New Orleans lady, and every time you see her, she's so happy to meet anybody.
Well, she's
Last two times I
delightful.
saw her was on a elevator in the Superdome.
Well, she's known as the Queen of Soul. But since she's going to be our Queen of SOLE, soul. Our giant shoe. And I think that all the attention that it's gotten locally, that people are so excited she's going to be in Muses, I think she's getting excited about it too.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to celebrating her. And it's 2 days before her 82nd birthday.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be a great opportunity for the whole community to tell her happy birthday.
So, while it makes absolutely perfect sense, y'all are synonymous with the shoe. How did y'all come on the decision of the shoe? And, I mean, I would go so far as to say that,
I work literature.
the decorated shoe, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but it surpassed the popularity of the coconut to where I would almost say at this point, when people think of hand decorated throws, the first one that comes up, 9 times out of 10, is the Muses shoe. So how'd y'all come to the decision to make the shoe the
Well,
the icon?
We are women.
Yeah.
It was
They
just a
have lots of
natural
shoes.
fit. We like shoes.
We actually had a shoe bead our first year. That was a red high-heeled shoe. And I think
That was just a no-brainer.
yeah, I think that was something that Stacy and Sally came up with, the shoe bead, and it was a
Yeah.
red high-heeled shoe. I remember I had one on. Stacy and I were at a party like the Saturday after the parade, and this policeman said, "Oh, Muses, there was a fight at a bar in the French Quarter over one of those beads. That's going to be huge, that parade." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, there was a huge fight
I
at a
remember
bar."
hearing that, and that's when we finally, we weren't sure that first year whether we had pulled it off or not, and when we heard that story,
Yeah,
we knew we
the
had.
policeman said, "You're going to be big. That parade's going to be big." Because there was a huge fight that rolled out into the street over a bead, over a shoe bead.
Yeah.
I can see
And
that.
so the shoe, but one of our members, and it was Nicola Wolf, who was a professor at Tulane. Nicola she had this idea when she saw the shoe bead. After she picked up her shoe beads at bead distribution, she went to Thrift City and got, which used to be Thrift City, was a big thrift store,
Yeah.
and got like 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, of high-heeled pumps that looked like the shoe bead, and she decorated them in honor of Zulu coconuts. Those are the only shoes I've ever found that had 2001 on them. Our first year we rolled was 2001.
Right.
So those are the only shoes we have ever found with 01 on them. They were not elaborate. In 02, we had 2 other members who did very much more elaborate shoes. With some had fur and some had glitter and feathers. Hers were mostly just glitter and paint. So then they kind of, but both of those riders I think had been on Nicola's float the first year, so they may have subconsciously seen hers. They thought they had started it. Nicola kept doing a few, and it organically spread through the entire crew
Yeah.
within 2 years. By 04,
We were all doing it.
we were all doing it. It was crazy. And when Katrina hit, we had like the glitter network of friends that were like contacting each other around the country. People were like, it was like how you just kind of forgot about where you were, and you would just take your Salvation Army vouchers and go get shoes to glitter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
So y'all do limit how many each rider can
Yes.
have, is that correct?
30.
30.
30 per rider.
They take up a lot of room, and they also take
Yeah.
a great deal of time.
Yeah.
You have to let each layer dry. You have to write. You have to.
Well,
clean.
I mean, I do the inside's one color, dry. The outside's a different color, dry.
The
Let that bottom a
bottoms.
different color. Then you start embellishing things. I glitter the stuff that I put on the shoe. It's multi-step process.
I mean, I've got them hanging. I have a glitterage. I've never parked in. I've owned this house. I bought this house because of the garage. I've never put a car in it.
Yeah, I have a
And when I
glitter
bought it,
living
my old
room.
boyfriend was like measuring it. I'm like, why are you measuring it? He's like, to make sure your car fit. And I'm like, I'm not parking in here. I'm glittering in here.
Right.
And
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, I used to always do it in my kitchen. I'd just pollute my kitchen, and then we got a puppy, and we just couldn't have the puppy and the glitter in the same room.
my dogs
And
just
so
roll in it.
I started negotiating with my husband. He has a man cave in our basement, and I said, "Well, I'll just do it in the man cave." Oh, you can't have the man cave. He said, "Why don't you go out in the shed, the unair conditioned shed with a lawnmower? It doesn't even have windows." I said, "Well, let's put this off to Mardi Gras." And then by the time Mardi Gras rolled around, I had a perfect idea. I said, "I know what we can do. We'll just keep the dog in the basement for the month while I'm glittering shoes." And he said, "You can't put the dog in the basement." I said, "You're going to put your wife in the shed?" I won. I now glitter. I glitter the shoes in the
Went
basement
for the
now.
throat on that
I
one.
mean, it's crazy.
Oh, you should see it now. It's polluted. It's
Yeah,
so
when
much
we
better.
were decorating shields for our crew, because of the running gag of, glitter is
The herpes
quote
of the
unquote the
craft
herpes
world.
of the craft world, that we would put we would set up tables out on my back patio.
Glittering in the wind
And-
is really difficult.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we would have situations where the wind would start kicking up,
Yeah.
and yeah,
At Jazz Fest, I have a pinwheel I keep out, and I'll be like, if on windy days, and I'm like, if the pinwheel's turning, don't open the lids.
right.
The first day that we did Jazz Fest, like 11 years ago, I went out there, and the first shoe I did, and normal Jazz Fest, I got up to get dressed, took a shower, and then put sunscreen all over myself. And I sat down and I opened up a box of lime green glitter, and the wind hit, and I was lime green for the rest of the day.
I can't open glitter without looking like that.
Yeah.
I know, I have it,
So-
I'm sure, like, watch.
Yeah, I'm
Glitter.
sure.
Right,
Well,
right.
I have to ask, do you purposely have glitter
No,
right here?
no, it's all over
It's
me.
just our
Yeah.
natural habitat.
Permanent.
It's all over me. I mean, I actually I went in the garage to check on some shoes that we started last night. I'm actually trying to Tom Sawyer my way through this season because, I mean, I have friends that wanted to help glitter shoes. So I was like, bring it on. So they
You go
came over
for it.
last night, and I went into the garage to check on some stuff to make sure everything was put away for the storm.
So
So
speaking of which, you brought this
I
beautiful
brought that shoe
example
that
for
was
this
done
year.
by one of our members at Jazz Fest.
Ooh, Pelicans wine. I
Here,
thank
I
you.
thought you might like a
Hey,
Pelican
hey,
shoe.
hey.
I'm sorry, I only brought one. I didn't think.
Well, this is our podcast.
well, lean
stack,
back
so
and
we
show it
love
real quick.
Oh yeah.
It's
There
a
we go.
2023 shoe.
Yeah, this is a very beautiful shoe.
So are we
It's a
getting the
Pelican
first
shoe.
2023 shoe? You can
Maybe.
lie.
I gave Miss Irma one a few weeks ago.
Oh, jeez.
But I mean,
Yeah, okay, we love
but
this.
yeah,
Irma. We love
she's,
this.
she's the honorary muse. I mean,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
I gave Miss Irma one. So it's kind
That's
of
gorgeous.
special.
We
Yeah.
love it.
So are you revealing the artist's name, or you don't recall?
That one is actually by Kirti McIntosh.
Oh, Kirthi. Oh, speaking of Kirthi, she used to do this thing where she'd order glitter by
glitter.
bulk glitter, like thousands of dollars of glitter. It would come in these huge bags, and we'd have to go to her house. I learned the word tear from. We'd have to measure it and we divide it among 50 of us who would have to help
We
do
know
that task.
it was like a glitter co-op.
I am
program.
still working off some of that Kirthi glitter.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I have an amassed collection of
Yeah, everybody's
Glitter.
got a craft corner around
from our shields, and I'll be pulling it out to do the last handful of blanks that I have left for
Yeah.
our
this-
crew.
I discovered we all share a lot of ideas. Like a friend of mine turned me on to these little scoops that are 4 for $1.25 at Dollar Tree.
Mm-hmm.
That because you could get more glitter on at once.
Yeah.
You know, and I use these bins that are, you know, I have a glitterage with about 120 shoebox sized bins of glitter that have about 2 pounds of glitter in each one.
It's about
It's
enough
insane.
for 2 or 3 more years. Huh?
I mean, I just keep replenishing, and then I have a backup supply. I mean, you know, it's crazy. It's insane. And then I have been stockpiling shoes. I went to go find some tax papers for something, and I got one and I was like, what are all these shoes doing up here? I have boxes of shoes that I haven't even tapped into yet.
Oh, I'm sure.
That I put away years ago. I mean, it's insane. I used to have a shoe drop box on my front porch, and one day I came home and my entire porch was covered with shoes. Like somebody told somebody who told somebody, and they just left all their shoes on my porch.
Yeah,
So it's crazy.
Yeah, glitter wise, I have like those shakers that, you know, like when you go to the grocery and you can get like a big shaker of
Parsley or whatever.
of parsley or
Yeah.
garlic powder, whatever. It's those things that are filled.
And then you
that-
get some manila folders, and you pour over the manila folder, just pour out of the shaker, and then you can pour it back in.
Oh yeah. Well, what I do is we'll put plastic down on the table, and then I can basically do the same thing to where I can cup it all together and
Well,
roll
I
it
sweep
in.
everything into one bin at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we call that especial, and I just a new
I
bin.
like those mixed ones.
I like to mix it up, and I have a good mix color.
Yeah, I've got one that's that especial to where
Camouflage.
one little piece of it's green, one little piece of it's purple, one of it.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
It's a good blend.
Well, a friend of mine, my friend co-writer who lives in Long Island, she, her husband gets apoplectic about the glitter, so she visqueens her entire kitchen. She calls it dexterizing her kitchen.
That's what Kelly does to her art studio. She does all of her shoes in like 5 days. She dexterizes the art studio.
Yeah, Dexter Day is coming.
Oh yeah, just get it all done at once. It beats serving like pasta with glitter for a week. I mean, I used to.
It's Mardi Gras. It's not going to kill you.
I know. I'm sure we all have
Yeah.
glitter lung.
Oh, yeah. We got
Oh
it.
yeah.
We're going to see a
Part of
Morris
it.
Bart at some point. Like, if you have glitter from Muses, call me. And
Well, it's not just us.
Yeah, it's
But I will
everybody
tell
now.
you
Look at
though,
that.
if your
city
glitter
is a
is
glitter
loose
city.
on some items, you could take some hairspray.
a little Aquanet.
And you could put a little Aquanet on there, and it keeps it on the items, but it keeps it shiny. That's handy. Keeps it shiny,
Yeah.
doesn't let it shed all over your room.
And it also, if the girls in your living room, for instance, use it, it makes everything stick to your wood floors even better. I'm just saying.
My wood floors are pretty glittery right now. They do clean it. It takes a
I
while.
don't
It cleans
really
up.
care. It's a Mardi Gras to me.
But you know what
It's-
I think about every time I walk through an airport? I think, terrazzo floors are beautiful because they have all the glistening.
Yes.
It's like I've terrazzoed my kitchen.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing that makes us very unique. I mean, I think a lot of groups are doing it now, but Kathy for 23 years has been managing our community outreach and our charity work. And right now, I don't know when this is going to air, so it might have already been finished. Like we raise a lot of money for charities, and we even auction off a ride every year right now.
And
Yeah.
actually, that auction is live right now. And
Okay.
And what date
we're
is it
raising
in?
money for the 826. Forgotten their exact name, but they
A26 New Orleans.
New Orleans. They train children on being writers, and so
It's a nonprofit.
it's closing at I think 5:00 Friday. And I last I looked, it was
Friday
up
the
to
27th.
yes. And last
Okay.
I looked
January.
that it's up to 3,500. But if you want to ride in
It's
Muses,
3,600 this afternoon.
oh, was it all right? So you can benefit this wonderful organization and get a ride.
We auction a ride off
Yeah.
every year for a charity.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
We do charity work throughout the year. No Muses event isn't connected to a charity. So whenever we have an event, it's connected to a charity.
Do you have a main charity? You just kind of pick the need.
No, we
at the
try to
time?
we try not to
Spread
have
the funds
any
out.
any one charity depend on us because we can't guarantee that
Sure.
we'll be able to raise money.
right.
But we do focus on women and children.
I mean, we need
Social
help. Look
need.
at us.
We have a nonprofit foundation.
Yes, we have a donor advised fund at Knopf.
Yeah. So we like helping like we did some stuff with Salvation Army in the fall where we renovated an apartment to help women and women with children get out of bad situations. So that was wonderful.
And actually, it was lovely because we raised that money by auctioning a ride. Basically, it was a raffle, so you can get your dues repaid. And but we did raise the money. I think in order to have our name on the apartment, which is right there on Salvation Army on Claiborne. We had to raise $10,000, and we raised $15,000.
Over 15.
So of
At
course,
lunch
all of the money
in
went
one
to
day.
Salvation Army. But a lovely woman who had been helped by Salvation Army. She was a mother with 5 children. It's just a temporary apartment to get her, situated.
get her on
She's in
her
her
feet.
own apartment now. But one of our donors gave her a ride, so she is going to be riding with us this year. So
Oh, that's
Fantastic.
incredible.
we're very excited.
And yeah, we've all kind of brought her into our sisterhood, which has been really nice. We had a little sort of a apartment shower for her to help her.
Well,
Really
just
nice.
before the show, y'all were briefly telling us about another, I would say, a charity function that
Well,
y'all
that
did.
was just a one
But-
time. Emily Gras was just
yeah, but
something
I
that
mean
we all
that's
did.
an amazing story.
Yeah.
Well, one year it was brought to our attention by a mother who wrote a blog about her daughter having a horrible experience at Mardi Gras at our parade, and we hated that it had happened. We hated that this young girl, who was a 10-year-old autistic girl, had a horrible. This was like in 2014 maybe, had a bad experience at Muses, and she was being bullied by some parade goers who ignored that she had been waiting for the parade. There were some college kids, and they said some very unkind things to her, and she left before the second float and went home in tears and did not go to another parade that season. And when we heard about it, we put out there that we were going to do something at the Den for her, and in 3 hours, a bunch of the Muses came out, the marching troops came out, and we had this beautiful little celebration at our Den. And we told her that her mother said, "Thank you for helping restore Emily's faith in Mardi Gras." And we were like, "Thank you for helping restore our faith in
Yeah.
the Mardi Gras
Okay.
community." Because and social media, what it did was show us what people will really do, which was just incredible.
Yeah, I don't think the Mardi Gras community as a whole gets enough credit for that sort of work. I mean, most people don't even realize that you do charity functions, much less
around the
individual
country
trying
do.
to make, I mean, I know you don't do it for recognition, but it should be commended that the crews do so much work in the community. And really, a lot of the nonprofits wouldn't function very well without the influx of money they get. But when they get a lot of the, individual stories like that, where, a lot of the dance crews are just showing up to help them out or just to make them smile. That's the spirit of Mardi Gras,
It is.
But not to denigrate every parade. I mean, quite frankly, as you know, we were just giving the parade is a gift to the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that that should not be discounted. Every
Right.
single crew should be commended because we have to put together our own parades and buy our own throws and throw them. So
And I one year I decided Kelly and I decided to track our hours. I mean, we have
Oh,
one
yeah.
employee, only one person involved with me. We have one employee that's a part-time employee, who's our business manager, and the rest of us don't get a dime. We all
Right.
pay the same dues. We all work very hard. I mean, I tried to track my hours one year, and when I hit 400 hours, I just stopped tracking, and I think it was August. I hadn't even gotten,
Yeah, you
It's
hadn't
crazy.
even gotten into the
I hadn't even gotten
quote
into
unquote
the gist
meat
of
of
it.
the season.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
and we work really hard on our parades, but it's like
I feel as though I do something Muses every day.
every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
I mean, we're always running around doing something, but I love what I do with the crew. I mean, I love the theme. I get excited, and I will tell you, we always think our greatest competition is ourselves, and we're always trying to outdo the last parade, we
It's a high
have.
standard.
It is a very high standard. I mean, Dion Randolph handles our floats. I mean, our marching bands and troops, and I think we do that
Very well.
very well, and we always have. And I think she really kicked open a door with a lot of groups in 2002 and
Oh,
2001.
absolutely.
And she and Stacy were very innovative in that makes this really special, and it makes it very entertaining. And I just try to make so I've got a lot to live up to with the floats. I'm trying to be witty.
See, I always thought that about Muses, that, you know, not only did you bring a new night into the Mardi Gras parade, you changed the kind of spectrum of Mardi Gras, kind of all around with all the dance troops and all that you kind of started. Because there wasn't a lot of that before. You would see a lot of marching bands and dancing squads and all from the little schools and all, but like the kind of adult dance crews or whatever you want to call them,
Well,
the kind of fun groups.
You know, honestly, word had gotten out on the street that we were forming this women's crew, and so people started talking, because I remember when we first were rolling, turns out my next door neighbor had also gotten word, but she's a musician, so she put together Pink Slip, which is a rock and roll float to provide music, but I didn't know she was doing it. She didn't know I was doing it. There was just this, obviously, a hunger for the community to participate in some way that reflects their interests.
I think that a lot of us, I mean, I've been in the city my whole life, so I've been involved. I mean, I've been on the street for every Mardi Gras since I was in a, on someone's shoulders or in a stroller. I never liked a ladder. But I think that
Good job.
I'm not a ladder person. I didn't like them in my yard the last few years either, part of life on the parade route. But I think that once there was an opportunity for people who had been in the audience for so long to be in the show, it shifted the dynamic.
Yeah.
And it shifted Mardi Gras for the better.
Absolutely.
It made Mardi Gras a greater, more exciting thing for so many of us who had just been viewers, that we were like, oh, what do you mean? We can all participate in this?
And we live in a city of clever people.
Oh, yeah. Funny, clever people.
Yeah. It's
And
I always say this, you can't beat Half-Fast as being the best name of Mardi Gras.
right.
the
But
greatest.
I am also personally very fond of the 610 Splits. That's an amazing name. There is just so much cleverness.
yeah, there is.
And
I mean, the
artistic
Hamilton Lady
talent.
Steppers are
People
funny.
costume.
It's always been funny. All of them. So
Yeah,
we're really...
depending on the neighborhood you're in, it doesn't matter who you ask. So what do you do? I'm an artist. Every one of them. It's like, how's everybody an artist? Because I mean, I have a 9 to 5. I don't get to do that fun work. It's like, how is everybody an artist? But it's true though. Everybody has a.
They're very brave.
It's
I'll
a
tell you, the shoes are
great
the only artistic thing I do.
imagination and, around the shoes. When we're talking about Nola craft culture, you go in, you see a lot of supplies and everything, and you can kind of picture them. Like, ooh, I can see what that can make and that can make.
Well, once you start doing shoes, you look at everything and you're like, I could glue that to a shoe. I could glue that to a shoe.
Yeah.
I had one friend come over to help me. I mean, I could look over there and find 500 things I could glue to a shoe.
Oh yeah.
I had a friend come over one night to help me do shoes, and the next night she came over with a basket. She raided her son's toy chest.
Oh, that's so clever.
Oh yeah, I'm like, your son's gonna kill me. It's so funny. And she was like, oh no, I've already spray painted it all. He'll never recognize it. I'm like, oh my God. There's so many things you could do that are fun. We just like I like to do funny shoes, like tongue-in-cheek shoes, like I do with floats. So.
Yeah.
So, what time of year do you start brewing the beer?
Well, Nola Brewing has been doing the beer for us.
Oh, y'all don't brew it?
No.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm a little busy.
But they do contribute to our foundation, so
Oh,
we
fantastic.
appreciate that.
is that?
And we love it. There you go. Opposite.
We like it.
Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's available in cans and in at bars by draft.
Yeah, they've been doing quite a few cruises over the past couple of years. I like that trend. There's like a couple of times we were going to the parade, and I was like, oh, well, their beer is here. Like, bring their beer to the parade.
Well, and it's a good Belgian pale ale, so you could just drink it all day. You could drink through the whole parade. You're not going to get schnockered. It's very good. It's not too heavy, so we like that. And we like having a little nectar of the goddess handy.
We kind of touched on it earlier about your signature throws, but I think some of the most iconic scene of Mardi Gras is the ducks coming down the road. It is really just a spectacular sight. What are some of the other signature floats you have?
Well, the Goddessy, I think, is one of the most beautiful floats in all of Mardi Gras. It's the officer's float. It's in the very front of the parade.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a 24-karat gold-plated Pegasus,
Yeah.
and a peach tree with these beautiful lit lanterns,
Yeah.
and a waterfall on one side of it. It's beautiful.
One of our original signature floats was a bathtub,
Mhm.
so that's why the ducks follow the bathtub.
Yeah.
So
I love that site there. I mean, because it stretches a solid city block, if not more.
Oh yeah, it's pretty amazing.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I have always ridden. I'm one of the very few who's ridden every single year. I've never seen a parade. So
Yeah.
That's the one drawback of riding in the parade is that you don't get to see it.
I watch a lot of videos.
It is that's not the same. It really is.
Yeah.
That's like,
Well,
yeah.
one year I took a year off and I looked up and I saw this girl having the time. I mean, it's the best night of my life so far every year.
Yeah.
So I looked up the year I took the year off. I looked up and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to feel that for 24 months. And then I had way too much to drink after that. I thought I was going to have this really great day without a hangover and I was like, what was I thinking? And I just started throwing back drinks and that was done. It was the worst night. I was so upset that I missed it. I was
Yeah,
in
that's just
total.
one
It
of
was
those
like, what
parades
did I do? What was I thinking?
There's a few parades when they kick off. It's just it's really a tremendous sight when you can kind of look down the road and see it. I mean, similar to like when Orpheus starts coming, it's just real grand. Like that's how I feel about Muses when it kicks off. It's a different sort of sculpture and all, but it's really iconic to you guys.
That's how I feel when we're riding to line up, when we get to ride the floats there, and there's one place when we're on a turn and I'm on float one, I can look back and see all the other floats lined up, and I'm like, we get so excited. Or that when you get past that reflection point on Chapatulas with it, you can see.
I remember always a feeling of excitement when I figure out which band is going to be playing in front of my float. I was like,
You just ask me and I'll tell you.
well, it's just no, it's just it's that thrill.
Type
It's
of
like
the lineup
here I
every
am,
year.
and they're playing live for me because I always ride at the front. I ride in the lieutenant spot. It's
I
a fun
rode
time.
Little Rascals when I was a little rascal.
Oh wow!
And we had St. Aug behind us, and it was me, Ricky Jackson, and St. Aug. Well, Ricky Jackson, because they always had a Saints player on the back of each float. Well, Ricky Jackson wanted St. Aug, so that's why they played. So
Oh, that
that was my first
amazing.
experience on a float was Ricky Jackson and St. Aug.
Well, my favorite St. Aug story was, it happened twice, but I think it was I'm thinking it was '08. We had gotten rained out and we had to go roll the next night, and we were rolling 4th on Friday. And St. Aug marched in Hermes. They got to the end of the route, jumped on a bus, rode as fast as they could we had taken off from Magazine and Napoleon, and we
I couldn't
stopped.
find magazine and pull it on your list.
Sorry, Siri. Whatever.
Yeah.
So we got to Magazine and Napoleon, and the parade stopped, and Deanna and I are like, "What's going on?" And the crowd opened up, and St. Aug marched in, playing music. They marched 2 full parades that night.
Oh yeah,
But they rushed back to get in front of us.
They don't stop. That is a machine.
It was incredible, but they didn't want to miss Muses.
We set up along Napoleon, and there's depending on how many parades, a lot of the bands will line up on the backside of it and come in on the cross streets, and it's amazing how this crowd just goes whoop, and then swings back, same exact position, but the band's coming in. It's kind of it's a neat sight because it's real military precision. They're getting in, they're playing,
it's
and
pretty
they're
amazing.
going.
I love watching it.
It's really a thrill. I will say, but I also really enjoy when we can ride the floats from our party somewhere down in the warehouse district. That time to just visit, hang the beads up, drink a little more. That's a really lovely time too.
I know, we love it.
And it's funny because I drive down Chapatulas, a normal time. I think it looks so different when you're not in the float.
So something else that's real special with y'all is, we had mentioned the shoe being y'all's signature throw, but a lot of y'all's throws are, either shoe related or sustainable throws to where, I've got notepads that I've caught from y'all. One of my favorite things that I usually that I'm sad that I'm not wearing them right now is Muses socks.
Oh,
Love some Muses socks.
Yes.
I think we did this.
awesome.
Yeah.
We're
They're like
very proud
slippers.
of having throws that people use year round.
Yeah,
Because, if we're spending the money and throwing it, it's a shame for it to just go in a bag and, put in your attic. It's
Right.
much better to have people actually use your
Yeah.
stuff all year. That's a throw right there.
yeah, right
The
here
beer
at
koozie.
my feet
Not a koozie, the beer
is
holder.
a
My lunchbox.
a Muses cooler.
Yep.
We've thrown that several times.
Yeah.
That's
We've
nice.
done those a few times. I
They come
hate-
with a 6-pack like that?
No, I wish it did.
Be a little heavy.
Yeah. What?
I was just going to say.
Oh,
and also, I
these-
knew it's just
these
a
bracelets,
throw.
these are all
But
bracelets.
also the shoe bracelet with the. It's,
Yeah,
Oh,
the
and this
shoe
is a
bracelets
buff.
are
It's
awesome.
one of one of
we've
our
thrown?
earliest throws. It's just little plastic things we do in
Oh,
different
yeah.
colors every year. When I'm out of town, I wear it as a regular bracelet, and I get compliments on it. And people have no idea that this is Mardi Gras trinket, but it's such a good-looking bracelet.
Yeah,
But it's a fun thing to have. But I think it is very important to. My pet peeve is when people, and I see it all the time when people judge a parade by how full their bag is.
Yeah, but
I
of
mean,
what? You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I look at how full the garbage can on my front porch is of what stuff people leave at my house. Like I have a laundry basket on my porch, and people dump the throws they don't want in it, and I take it to Strive across the street, and it's like insane how much stuff people leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we don't need to throw out that but we really want things that people will love and use. And this year, I do think that we will. We throw so much. We will have so much good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great notebook this year.
all right.
Look for the notebook. There's a towel this year that you're going to use for your kitchen or
Ooh.
your bathroom. That is
So,
outstanding.
do you have the socks this year? Because I have like the orange ones,
We
the
did
pink
not do
ones.
socks.
Not do
this
socks,
year.
socks this
What?
year.
We can't do the same thing every year. We won't be able to add new stuff.
You have a different color. Because I have at least 2 different colors.
No,
It's
but
like
we
orange
have to
and
be able to
pink
get
Yeah.
new
and
things.
gray and
Yeah.
blue or something like that.
Well, duly noted. Socks are popular.
But we might go to the other end of your body.
I don't think
Okay.
I've filed my
What?
nails without using a Muses nail file in years. So.
Yeah.
No, I've caught some interesting throws from Muses, and like we go to everything. I don't want much, because I don't have place for 50-something parades of throws every year. So, like, I'll typically keep a medallion. I've collected balloons, so I want the balloons, and then if I can get lucky and get a signature throw, that's really all I'm bringing home. But some
Well,
of the more
Muses, you're gonna get a
sustainable
lot of
Yeah,
throws-
really
but
good stuff.
Yeah, y'all are one of those
Yeah.
exceptions that I'm not just bringing home, like you said, the doubloon, the signature throw, that y'all have a lot of things that.
You're
You
going to
can really
love
use.
this year.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of really
Well,
good.
and I know
useful
that we're not
stuff.
alone in this, but I've been doing the cup since the beginning, and
Oh, that's right. Talk about the cup contest.
So since year one, our artwork has been designed by a student, and we have a student contest, and I write some sort of, I'll pick a theme, and it'll be some sort of history lesson about Greek mythology that, usually I try to tie it to our actual theme, even though our actual theme is a secret. And so we've been throwing cups of artwork with student artwork since the very beginning. And, a lot of
the
those
school
kids,
benefits and the kids get.
yeah,
the
we give
money.
them the school money, and the kids get the thrill. We don't give the kids money, but
But their names on what?
they've
Thousands and
used it as
thousands of
resume
cups.
material to get into art school. It's been a great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know you did that. That's pretty neat.
yeah, for 23 years.
Yeah.
And I will say that women say that people don't want the cups, but people do want the cups. What happens is
Yeah.
they wait till the parade goes by, and I turn around and look, and people are stooping down and picking up the cups.
Oh no!
Cups
Last
don't
year
go to
people
waste.
fought
Yeah,
for
cups-
those cups. Last
Yeah.
year, people were killing for those cups last year.
Cups don't go to waste. That's one of the
They don't.
things. Because we use them. I mean, I use them all year.
I got a whole cabinet full of them.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the first year's winners is a teacher. Was like
An art
is a-
teacher.
Is an art teacher now at one of the public high schools.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, it's really amazing. So, and another winner when he was a student when he was a college student was teaching when he was working on our floats for one of the companies. I mean, it's really incredible to see what happens. So we love that. But I do think we have awesome throws this year. I think I know that you had asked what my favorite theme was, but I have a lot of favorite themes.
Yeah.
So everybody teases me because I'm always like, that's my favorite theme. This year, I come up with a theme sometimes, and it's in my head for years until I can actually visualize it on a float. This is one of those. My favorite themes are themes where children will look up and they will love the floats because they see something they understand.
Yeah.
But the adults will get the joke.
Right.
This year is a theme like that, and it is one of those themes that I've been trying to make happen for years, and it is so great. I love it so much.
But Virginia knows my favorite has never been surpassed. It was our second year where it was very meta, where we
The third
made
year?
fun of the other floats.
Third year.
Musology. That was third year.
Musology, the
loved
lesser known
Musology.
gods and goddesses. We had Cirrhosis, Bacchus's less attractive brother.
It's like the garbage pail kids of
And then we
music.
had anorexia.
Yeah, we had Rexas, the god of too much celebration. Protedius, the god of obscure themes. He was holding one bead.
The reason I loved it is because it was by us, for us.
It
It
was
was a
very
New
funny.
Orleans theme.
Yeah,
Out-of-towners did not know what we
No,
were.
they didn't know. They didn't get it. But then one year, in 2015, we did "Are You There, God? It's Us Muses." It was a puberty theme, and it was one of those themes where men were like, "What the hell is this theme?" And every woman on the street was just cracking
Yes.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a lot of the women ever got over me putting them on the pubic hair float, but you know, the fact that a bunch of gynecologists ended up on there was even funnier. You know, some themes happen that way. And I think the year we did Muses Night at the museum was just, it was really, the floats were really funny, but it were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we ended up having to bring in extra artists, and they got really over the top crazy painting those floats. Like, the bottoms of the stairs were matching the, like it was ridiculous. They painted every aspect of the float. But that was beautiful. But, you know, we had like the woman in black and gold, and then we had one that was a Frida Kahlo joke, and it was, who was the Pelicans player with the eyebrow?
Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
Anthony
I mean, they
Davis.
were just funny. They were funny floats.
But we also do the shadow box every year, and a few years ago,
You know the shadow
Yeah,
box,
yeah,
have you
yeah.
caught on to
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
where there's a live dancer, and
Yeah.
the joke somehow
It
has
started from Muses 009, which I wish I'd thought of in 07, but I didn't think of until 09, which was a parody on James Bond. And I got a woman to stand in there with a hairdryer and pretend to be James Bond. Okay.
But every year there's a dancer,
Yeah,
and every year
it changes.
And one year, I don't remember the politician. It was a politician who made unkind comments about women. A legislator, he was a state legislator, and it was a man, a good-sized man in the green suit dancing on our float. He happened to be on our float that
was
year.
that the year it was the crossdresser?
No, well, I don't remember the exact joke, but that man's wife now rides on my float, and he tells everybody
Lily?
I'm the only man in New Orleans who rode in Muses before his wife.
Yes. Was that Lily?
I know I can't say. I'm not going to say his
Okay.
name because his
Is it
his
Phil?
identity as the
Is he an
dresser.
attorney?
I'm mum's the word.
Yeah, it's been pretty funny. The shadow box float is always fun to do because I'm always like, what can I put in the shadow box? What can I put? What will the shadow be? And you got to be careful. I used to put two people in there, but sometimes two people comes out really obscene.
Yeah.
No.
Like I'll put them in one at a time, and I used to say like I'll get two people in case somebody's tired. Stacy's like somebody will be tired in there, and one year we had a pole dancing joke. But I think we changed every like prepubescent boy's life that year on the avenue. My mother was like, boys were like, "There's a pole dancer coming down the avenue," and it happened like I found a real pole dancer in the crew, and then I found the mother of a pole dancer in the crew, so I had some pole dancers. But when they got in there together, it sort of freaked people out. I did one year. It was supposed to be a security thing at the airport. It was Aeropostale. It was a shopping theme.
Yeah.
And they got in there together, and it looked a little obscene, like somebody was getting frisked. And
That's how it feels at the
It came
airport.
off like a woman was kneeling, and it ended up looking not appropriate. I think a nun called from St. Stephen's, didn't look appropriate. So sometimes you have to like tweak things a
That
little.
was all perspective, you know.
Well, it just happened. You know, I'm
She
just
was
I try to be
praying.
very careful because you know we want to be funny, but we don't want to be mean, and we don't want to be obscene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We try not to be mean. We try to consider that we're all here to have a good time. All of our members pay the same amount of money to have a good time. We're not trying to offend anybody. We're equal opportunity offenders.
Yeah. Well,
a
I mean,
lot of jokes are also just sort of like, battle of the sexes kind of jokes, because a lot of the planning is early.
Yeah.
So, the jokes, we need some jokes that are just timeless, that, because we
course,
have to
yeah.
do it before, and we know what's going to be in the news.
I try to put in one or two things that are last minute jokes.
So one other throw that's related to the floats themselves that's I would say is pretty special with y'all is, I mean, as far as I can remember, just about every year that I've been to Muses, I've gotten a bulletin, a parade bulletin.
Yeah, that's
In the beginning of the-
It will be in the paper the morning of the parade. It is up in the air if we will hand them out.
Okay.
We handed them out until we couldn't hand them out in 2020 because they cut our marching groups
Yeah.
because the other parades that night insisted we go first.
Yeah. That was the night that, if I remember correctly, when y'all rolled in 2020,
They made us go
they
at
were
4:30
trying
in
to
the afternoon.
they were trying to push everybody
oh, yeah.
because there was supposed to be a real
Everybody
nasty
flew
storm
by.
coming
It was
in.
weather,
that night.
yeah, we had to ride on Friday.
Everybody.
Yeah, we had to
Yeah.
ride on
by.
Friday early. The pricing went up a lot this year, so we haven't decided if we're going to hand it out. I have to decide what I want.
Okay.
But
So buy a paper.
Yeah.
but get a paper from that day because it's in the paper that day definitely. I don't know. I'm also suggesting that maybe we do a QR code, save a tree, scan,
Yeah.
and you could see it. I love these, but it'll be in the paper definitely, so you can get them in the paper.
Okay.
I have a couple of them. I think that one I have the artist proof of, which is pretty
Nice.
Yeah. And
My
you
dad
can
runs
always
the carols
order
and he
from the
tries to
paper, too.
swipe them every year. I've managed to get a couple.
Yeah, I get my mother to save them.
Oh, yeah.
My mom saves everything, so it's handy. She's a Mardi Gras fanatic too. I mean, I had to buy a house on the parade route when I told my family I was looking at one. They were all like, "Buy it, parade route, buy it." So now I've already ordered my portalet from my house because I've learned the hard way that it's really good to have a portalet.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's handy.
No, I'm playing.
No, it's really
Oh,
handy.
that's-
So were you the house float?
I actually did a house float, and I wasn't in the Muses house float.
Okay.
No, I have a much smaller house. No, that was actually just a friend of one of the Muses that offered to
okay.
do it. But I did do a house float I did a Dreaming of Muses house float. There were so many Muses house floats. We loved it.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
excited.
there was
we
one
were
in
so flattered.
particular that was like, that's got to be somebody in it, you know. There
Well,
there
the
was a
Muses
few.
one
I
on
can't
St.
remember
Charles
where it
was the official one.
Yeah.
And we, 2020 and that was a
It
year.
was beautiful.
We did a lot during the pandemic that was pretty incredible. 2020, 21. We did Heels for Healers and Shoe Fairy, where we went all over the city with shoes.
The day that we would have written, a lot of women had made shoes to give to all the people on the front lines of the hospitals and the schools.
Yeah, I remember
and,
seeing
that.
and it was just a little pick-me-up for them. It was very well received.
Like my dad, the day of his parade, rode down Carrollton just throwing doubloons at random people walking. He's like, I'm throwing my doubloons.
And we did Stellato, which was great, which was, I think we had, how many stores? I think we had a lot of stores. A lot of the stores along the parade route, you could go and scan a QR code and register to win a shoe.
Oh wow.
And then on the day of the weekend of our parade, the weekend after our parade, people could drive through by our den and pick up their shoes that they won.
And the idea was that these poor businesses were losing, the parade day activities.
So we wanted to drive people into their stores.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Go
few of
into
them
the
did those
stores.
scavenger hunts and all. Those were fun. We tried a few of them. I don't know if we got anything, but we tried. We went,
Yeah.
Stellato was fun.
had fun with it, you know.
And then we also did raise money through through shoe auctions for the hospitality workers. So it was pretty amazing. And then, of course, the house float, which a lot of muses came together and worked on, and some artists.
One thing I find thrilling is that you'll go to silent auctions for just different charities. Nothing to do with us. They didn't. and there'll be a shoe on their auction board that people will pay money to raise money for charity, and
Yeah.
it's muses who are love those particular organizations will donate shoes, and it helps raise money all year round. It's a nice thing.
Yeah, we're proud of our members. They're very giving.
Do y'all believe any of the signs that says "I need a shoe, it's my birthday"?
We love signs. I adore signs. I've
There's
seen
so many
really
people
good
that have
ones, though.
birthdays that year.
We don't believe the birthdays or the "it's my first Muses." Come on.
I never throw to a sign.
I always throw to signs.
I throw to people who look like sad sacks.
I love a funny sign. Like I saw a guy with a sign that said, "I always put the seat down." He got it.
Nice.
It was really good.
Now I know.
Sorry, I always put the seat down. You're getting the shoe. It was adorable.
I've always wanted to do ones like "will not go on eBay,"
I like that's a brilliant sign.
Yeah.
You will get your
because
shoe.
I know that you put a
I
lot of
hate
work
that.
into it.
I don't want it sold on eBay. I think that would
Oh
be
my
really
God,
good.
that's
Yeah.
got to.
I would be
drive
very
me
honored if somebody
crazy.
liked my shoe enough to think that they could get money for it, and so I would always look on
Those-
eBay the next day to say, oh, "I wonder if any of my shoes are there." They're never.
Really?
Kathy, I love you, but it's not going on eBay.
I know.
I know it drives some of the riders nuts though. That they'll find their shoe on there and they're like, "I gave it to you as a gift," and they go for good money. So like,
I know it breaks my
Okay.
heart. It
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
Well, it's an art
But then,
piece.
how do you know it was
Exactly.
really thrown and somebody just didn't make a fake shoe?
yeah, it's true.
Oh, we send those people cease and desist letters.
I know, we do. I mean, we're very protective of Muses, and when people make like fake Muses t-shirts, and I mean, we're a nonprofit, and what we do, we raise money for charities, and what we do, we have to protect.
No, I feel very differently about somebody who caught the shoe and then tries to sell it. It's an art piece, and they're selling it, and I'm actually okay with that. But I do not. I mean, we really will send a cease and desist letter to somebody who just
You're
adopts the
faking
name
it, right.
Muses and in their kitchen makes a fake Muse shoe.
Yeah, because
is not a member of our
material
organization,
is-
and
Yeah,
then
people
sells them
are
on
not
eBay.
allowed to use
Available.
the Muses name.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to
Right.
make
That's our
throws
name.
with Muses on it and sell them. We're very protective. I mean, you have to be.
Yeah, I mean,
We're-
it
we're
really makes
unique.
it less special, and
We're unique
it's
entities.
not from the crew, So
Yeah, and on the flip side, we also like to support the artistic community. So there are a lot of artists who are not Muses that will make shoes that they sell to Muses to throw, and that I'm
And
okay
that's-
with.
that's
as
Right,
well.
fine.
yeah,
That I'm okay with as well. Yeah.
It's one thing
Because
to
that's
sell
support-
prepared throws because, I mean, like Kirk was saying earlier, it's and y'all were agreeing with that.
It's hard to
it's
make a
it's
shoe.
a year-long thing, and it's hard to make a shoe.
It is, and I have
it
some
takes,
friends that
it
really.
takes skill.
I'd rather they not try.
Yeah,
you got to raise a cow.
Not you. You make good shoes,
Get the
Kathy.
leather.
Well, and there's a lot of professional. And honestly, a lot of Muses are professional women, and they just
yeah, don't have the time.
They don't. It just doesn't fit into their schedules. No, though I have to say, one person I know who does them year round is a physician. So but
Really?
she's pretty artistic, but
I'm worried about how much glitter's going on there.
she has a separate room.
Okay.
I bet you it's very
I
precise.
mean, I have a separate room, but there's still glitter on me.
Yeah.
I was going to wear these glitter boots that I have, but I realized they needed to be sprayed, and I was afraid I was going to leave so much glitter in your house.
Oh, there's glitter
Are
in
those
here.
not
No,
glitter?
these are not. These are actually glitter Doc Martens that
Oh.
are real Doc Martens. They sell glittered,
Okay.
and they don't shed.
Yeah,
One year we had a Doc Marten as our shoe of the year. Every year we have a different shoe bead.
Should be our shoe bead, yeah.
Mm.
And so these were glitter Doc Martens. That year we had a shoe bead that was a Doc Marten. It was a purple Doc Marten, I think.
So do y'all do any sort of open to the public events?
Actually, we have Muses happy hours all the time that are open to the public. You can just look at follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We're about to launch a new website that's going to be great. She'll actually have access to all of our old parades, all of our old parade images.
Oh, really?
All right.
That's neat.
Mm-hmm.
No, and although our after party, our party after our parade is not open to the public, we will through Muses sell tickets to non-Muses.
So, like, if you
So-
know a Muse, you can
and
buy
Yeah.
a ticket.
I think it's going to be fabulous this year. So
Oh yeah, we have Semifunk playing.
a Cuban band.
An amazing Cuban band. And our party is really great, actually. We'll tell you about it after. Muses, we do, one of the things I think keeps us very enthusiastic is we have a lot of substitute riders because our members are allowed to sell their spots to any woman over 18 every other year. So nobody wants to give up a spot, but if I wanted to take a year off, I
Yeah.
could sell my position. And then I could take a year off and someone could go ride. And they'd pay, I'd pay a sub fee and they would pay my dues.
Yeah.
And it's been a great release valve because we are not trying to be a huge, super huge crew. So people in town who want to ride,
Can
they
get a spot.
can get it out
Yeah.
of their system by buying somebody's ride for 1 year. They ride and, scratches that itch.
Yeah. And it gets the enthusiasm still there and it's fun.
Yeah, I couldn't ride 1 year.
I
I just
couldn't
can't do it.
I'm hooked.
I love riding. I mean, it almost doesn't matter what I ride in, honestly. I mean, I love riding
Sorry.
in Excalibur, bless you. But we sort of, in one way, do that parade. Well, not because we love riding that parade, but because it's early in the season. That way we can go to everything. But I have to ride. I feel like I have to ride every year now. You know.
Yeah, it's gotten easier to go to everything too, because I remember, the years when you have to go. You went from the Gentility Parade to the Metairie Parade to
Oh,
the
yeah,
Olds Parade to
we
the
do
Algiers Parade.
Slidell,
Yeah.
Kenner, Uptown, West Bank. We do all.
I had a neighbor who could work it. He could see everything in a single night.
You
But now
probably
everything in New
walk
Orleans
past
There's
West
it.
some new crews there. They're starting up this year on the West Bank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You
They're all
walk past
great.
it, but he purposely has a small car so we can park easy.
Yeah. So, one other thing with Muses is y'all are synonymous with your night.
Muses Thursday.
Yes. Spelled Thersday.
Yes. Yes. Muses Thursday. I don't know how the Babylon and Chaos feel about that. But it is
back of
Muses
their
But we
floats
originally were
will tell
Wednesday,
you.
but only for a few
Yeah, we
years.
were on Wednesday for the first few years.
Yeah, I remember.
Saturn.
In fact, with one of our recent interviews, they talked about how they were riding with y'all on Wednesday, and then when the storm happened,
We shifted
y'all
over to
shifted
Thursday.
over to Thursday. And
They
from
were a
what I
great crew.
understand,
They were satirical. I loved Saturn.
Saturn
Why
was
they're
funny.
gone.
Actually, the Sirens float that we end with Sirens, which originally was a woman laying back smoking a cigarette the 1st year, and it said, "Was that it?" Because it was Muse's first time. We thought that was funny. And it had like red lights all over it, and it had a siren because sirens were cast out by the Muses in Greek mythology,
right?
and then parades ended with sirens. If you grew up, there
Yeah.
was. That's why Sirens is at the end of Muses. Because I thought it was like a joke, like sirens, Not everybody
Yeah.
got my
I didn't
joke.
pay
No,
attention
no.
that day.
Nobody got my joke. But,
Oh, no, but that Siren float is our last float
but
every
the
year.
Sirens is the last float every year and well worth waiting for.
Yeah, it's a beautiful float.
I mean, it floats down the street on a cloud, which people do not realize if they haven't seen it coming. It's so beautiful to watch coming. We actually used to have a bunch of zombie sailors with it, but the cops didn't understand why they were following the float. And they didn't like anything behind the float. I thought it was really funny. They were like, zombie sailors. I thought it was so great. And Dion's like, the police won't let them follow the float. I'm like, but they belong behind the float. They're zombie sailors following the siren to their
which
death.
is perfect sense, right?
And they're like, you can't have anything behind the last unit. And I'm like, but the zombie sailors have to follow it. They didn't let us have them there. And they just looked ridiculous in front of it. They couldn't walk backwards.
Yeah.
They
Looked
looked
a little ridiculous behind it too, I'm sure.
great behind it. So anyway, the zombie sailors got cut. But the Sirens has, it always has like pearls and jewelry hanging off of it
Yeah.
and old chandeliers. It's really amazing. It's a gorgeous float. And that's a special signature float.
And not to discount from all of the other floats,
No,
all of y'all's floats are
well, this year
very
they're
beautiful.
funny.
But yes, there is something very spectacular about seeing that Sirens float. For
Well,
sure.
and one of our painters, we have some great painters, Madison Parker and Raymond Bowie. Raymond Bowie there was a great article about him in last year's Mardi Gras guide. He painted Rex for many, many years. And when Rex stopped working with Kern, we got Raymond. And we had been trying to get Raymond forever. I love Raymond. And we just have two painters. Raymond and his son Mike and Madison are our two painters. They have, they are three painters. And Bobby, I can't remember Bobby's last name. And Bobby does our lettering, but they've done our entire parade. We just started early, and
Jesus.
it's amazing.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is. And, it's a rolling art show. And when they white it out, I cry every year. I'm like, oh my God, they whited out our floats.
One of the things I really like about being in the Balloon Club is a few of those swaps we do when we all just kind of figure out what we don't have are indents. And I go walk around and kind of read all the floats because you don't really get a chance to see all the little details and all that, as it comes by. But so we appreciate y'all inviting us to open your den and have a doubloon swap there this year. We appreciate that.
What, our den?
Yeah.
Playing,
Y'all are
playing.
funny.
You were supposed to just say, oh.
Yeah, we don't let anybody come to our den.
No, I was going to say, do we?
No. Actually,
Reveal
we
my
don't.
ignorance.
We're actually, our den, we don't let people in our den.
Yeah.
We're
Our
very
den is
strict.
also very tight.
It is very tight. We're actually, it's too crowded. We can't fit all of our floats in it. We're hoping to expand it eventually. Yeah.
No, but it is, it's hard to really
And there's
pay
no
attention
doubloons in
to.
our den either.
No,
Yeah.
but I was just playing. But it's hard to really pay attention to a lot of the detail as it rolls past,
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, people are always trying to come into our den with cameras and stuff. We don't let
That's
them
why
in.
these are good. That's why the
Mhm.
parade balloons
Yeah.
are good, because
Yeah.
you later realize you can catch the joke. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're excited about with the new website too, because people will be able to go back and see some of the old ones.
Yeah, I have the full collection of the bulletins, and at pretty much all the parades, I try to get a picture of every float. Although, I am not Annie Leibovitz in any fashion.
picture, I
of,
would love to get some of your pictures because we never get pictures because we're on
Yeah.
the parades.
Yeah,
So
I
any
have,
older ones because we really are missing pictures from a lot of years.
yeah, I'll be glad to share them with you.
I would love that.
Yeah, I can definitely get them to you.
Good.
So,
And what other questions do you have?
We if you want to tell us.
Let me think. Let me see if I had any notes. Oh, our original name before Muses was supposed to be Maenads.
My man.
Yeah,
Because they're the wild women of Greek mythology.
yeah, they
All
were
right.
like these little orgy nymphs that hung around Bacchus, but it sounded too much like Minas.
I was about to say that's how my grandmother used to say.
That's
yeah.
how I say Minas. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I still say Minas. People tease me about it. I can't help it.
I'm so glad we're not Minas.
I'm so glad we're not Minas. I mean, people would have called us Minas.
Of course.
We would have been decorating blue paint jars.
right, yeah.
Thank God we're not Minas.
Oh,
So yeah, thank God we're not Minas. It's a good thing. And so yeah, Muses was the next idea. We had a whole bunch of professors in the room trying to give us ideas. And since the 9 Muses, the Muse streets cross the parade route, it was great. And then I remember Hannah Coleman and I were on the phone, and I was like, "We need tiles. We need street tiles." And we sat we called Stacy on a conference call, and we were like, "We're going to do street tiles." She's like, "What are y'all talking about?" And Hannah's a graphic designer, and she laid out the street tiles. And I was like, "Crack them up. They need to be cracked." So that's our street tiles came from that. So it's pretty funny.
Y'all are definitely, one of those parades that, obviously by the crowds, are sought after. That you see the number of people that show up for y'all's parade.
It's surreal to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so much fun doing it, but we never expected this.
And every year we look forward to seeing y'all. That our vacations pretty much start
Oh yeah,
on
that night.
on that night. That's usually our first full day off from work, starting our Mardi Gras holidays.
Somebody told me that now the public schools are closed on the day after Muses.
Yeah,
see that.
I believe it because
That's fabulous.
And they
Yeah.
call it Muses Day Off.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And it's not Thursday, it's the day after
so
Muses.
they can go to Muses
Right.
and
So
stay
they
up late.
go to Muses, which, and then a friend who worked at the tourism board told me that they're seeing that the tourism is increased for Thursday, but people are coming in a day early. But I think that as much as I hated those rain out days, what has happened is, I remember getting off the float on a Friday night and that's my knock on wood because we don't want any more rain out days. But I had like a woman with her kids on a Friday night when we were pulling up by the CAC once say, "I've never seen your parade because we come in on Fridays, but I'll never miss it again." And I was like, "Oh, that's so nice."
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's how it's grown. A
The
few
parade
rain out
hurts.
nights.
You always throw a beautiful parade, but it hurts on your rainouts when
You know, we don't have the bands and we're
Well,
flying.
Yeah.
you have all those
And
crews that are really synonymous with you that I expect to see. And,
They
you
moved
know,
us
it's-
way too fast. And
Yeah.
the 2020, we went by so fast. Nobody got my jokes. I was so mad.
It was a blur. But I will say, if I'm going to say anything, I think a lot of credit, like almost all the credit, really should go to Stacey Rosenberg,
Oh, all of
our
it.
captain, because she has extremely high standards and very good taste.
Yeah.
And she doesn't let anything slide. So this level of excellence that we started with, we still have. And I think it does show.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. And that's why, like, you know, every little joke Stacy goes over. Every detail of the parade, the reason we're organized, the reason we own a den and we own every one of our floats, and we did before we were, 15, is Stacy. Every bead and every throw Stacy picked out.
Wow.
Every piece of Muses merchandise that we have, Stacy picked out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky that we have volunteers like Kelly, who are brilliant artists who design things for us and our merchandise and our throws. It's Stacy. She keeps the bar up. She doesn't just raise. She didn't just raise the bar. She keeps it up. She keeps our standards high, and it was all her idea to begin with. And
Yeah.
she takes such.
And we've been doing it for a long time, but
She hasn't
I don't
gotten
see any
tired.
diminishing of the,
No,
the
it
high
actually gets
standards of
worse every
excellence.
year.
It's a little harder, I know.
Yeah.
She gets worse every year. She's really got high standards, and she's not stopping. But because we'll sometimes be like, "Oh, just let it go," and she's like, "We can't go there." So once you let it go once, it's just gonna get ordinary. We don't want to be ordinary.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a good captain and a good board, you know. It seems like you guys are all in as well, so.
But Stacy remembers. She wants every little girl on the street to look up and want to be a muse and want to be a part of it,
Yeah.
and to want to be able to. And she doesn't want anything to stop that. She wants to keep that up there. So we get excited by it.
Yeah, y'all are definitely a very special crew, and I look forward to seeing y'all out there. I want to thank y'all
February
so much.
16th this year. We
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah, same. My little girl rides with me. My daughter rides with
Oh,
me.
she does.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
But she's ridden since year 2.
Yeah, I really want to thank y'all for joining us here today.
Well, thank you.
It's definitely an honor to hear y'all's story, and it makes it even more special for us when we've heard those stories to further enjoy the parade. So thank you again so much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Well,
signing out.
well, wait, before
What?
you let everybody go, I just wanted to say a special thank you to you for making my Mardi Gras even better. This is our 50th episode,
Yeah.
so I appreciate y'all being here for that one, and it just feels special. We've been doing this a while, and you do a lot of the leg work, or
Well-
90% of the leg work, and I thoroughly enjoy it, so I appreciate coming on the ride with you, and I hope we're just getting started, man.
Yeah. Thank you. So signing out. We will see you on the route.
Happy Mardi Gras.